Hello, I'm Tony Mangino from TC2, and this is Staying Connected, the podcast where we talk about what really matters to enterprise buyers navigating today's technology and sourcing decisions. I'm joined today by my colleague Brent Knight from TC2, and we're talking about global network roadmaps and specifically how to make the strategic roadmap executable before you go to market. And that last part matters because a roadmap can look great on a slide, move from legacy MPLS to internet first, maybe increase existing DIA bandwidth and add broadband where it fits. Maybe you're going to deploy SD-WAN to improve resiliency, reduce cost, increase flexibility, all good objectives, right? But here's the thing. Global network transformation doesn't happen on a slide. It happens site by site, country by country, supplier by supplier, and contract by contract. Brent, welcome back to Staying Connected.
Thank you so much, Tony. Great to be back as usual. And to your point, exactly. And that's where a lot of strategies get into trouble. The vision may be sound, but the sequencing is not ready.
Right. The enterprise knows where it wants to go, but it hasn't figured out the order of operations. Which sites move first? Which suppliers are addressed first? Which contracts create constraints? Which countries are hard to source? Which circuits can be replaced? And which might need more planning?
And if those questions aren't answered before going to market, the sourcing process can get complicated very quickly.
Brent, let's talk about sequencing. Why is it so important in a global network program?
Because every decision affects the next one. If you source everything at once without understanding dependencies, suppliers may respond with assumptions you can't validate. If you source too narrowly, you may miss leverage. If you move too slowly, contract deadlines and incumbent positions can limit your options.
And network services are especially sensitive to timing. First and foremost, you've got contract constraints. Then there's installation intervals, site readiness and change windows, business continuity requirements, and maybe even hardware dependencies.
Exactly. A global network roadmap has to respect operational reality. Some sites are easy to move, some are not. Some geographies have strong supplier options and others don't. Some locations can use broadband or wireless as part of the access strategy, while others need dedicated circuits with stronger performance commitments.
So the roadmap can't simply say replace MPLS with internet. That's way too broad.
Yeah, much too broad. The better question is, what is the right access strategy by site tier, business function, geography, and risk profile?
Brent, where do customers typically get hung up before going to market?
One common issue is an incomplete baseline. The customer may not have a clean view of current circuits, bandwidth, costs, contract terms, service locations, or incumbent dependencies.
And if the baseline is weak, you can bet the RFP is going to be weak.
Oh, absolutely. Suppliers will make assumptions, and those assumptions will be different. Then the customer spends the evaluation period trying to reconcile apples and oranges.
Another issue I see is stakeholder alignment. Network, security, procurement, finance, operations, and regional teams may all have different priorities.
Yes, one team may want to move quickly to reduce costs, and another may be worried more about performance and the potential for supplier consolidation. Those priorities have to be properly aligned before the sourcing process begins.
Otherwise, the sourcing event becomes the place where unresolved strategy debates show up.
Oh, exactly. And that's what slows everything down.
So, how should enterprise customers think about sequencing that roadmap?
First, start with the current state. What services are in place? What do they cost? Which contracts govern them? What are the notice windows, minimum commitments, renewal dates, and transition rights?
And then you want to connect the dots to the future state design.
Yes, define the site tiers, access standards, resiliency patterns, bandwidth targets, SD-WAN assumptions, and security requirements. Not every site needs the same design. Tier 1 sites may need DIA plus diverse backup, while smaller sites may only use broadband. Remote sites may require wireless or satellite. The sourcing strategy should reflect those differences.
And then you decide how to go to market.
Yes, some programs should be sourced globally, while others may benefit from regional waves. Sometimes it makes sense to separate transport, managed services, and overlay components such as SD-WAN. Sometimes bundling creates leverage, but sometimes it creates confusion.
And that's the part where a one size fits all approach can be dangerous.
Very dangerous. The sourcing structure should match the roadmap, not the other way around.
Brent, let's talk about suppliers. Incumbent dependencies can be a major issue in network transformations.
They can. The incumbent may control critical parts of the current estate, and switching may not be realistic everywhere at once. That doesn't mean the customer has no leverage, but it does mean the strategy has to be honest.
So you can create leverage through partial competition, phased migration, regional alternatives, or pricing pressure tied to benchmarking data, of course.
Exactly. You build leverage where you can, and you avoid pretending there's leverage where there isn't.
Contract timing is another big factor. If the sourcing timeline doesn't align with the renewal calendar, customer can end up signing an extension just to buy time.
Yeah, and sometimes that's fine. A short bridge can be strategic, but a long extension that locks in spend and limits flexibility undermines the whole roadmap.
So contract planning is part of the network strategy.
It has to be. The technical roadmap and the commercial roadmap need to move together.
For listeners preparing a global network sourcing effort, what questions should they answer before going to market?
Start with, do we trust the current inventory, cost, and contract data? Then ask which sites are critical, which are standard, and which are candidates for a different access model.
I'd add, where do we actually have supplier alternatives and where are we constrained?
Yes, and what contract dates or commitments affect our timing? How long might it realistically take us to transition services? What internal resources are required to support migration? And what sequence gives us the best mix of leverage and speed while minimizing operational risk to the business?
Brent, what should customers avoid?
Avoid launching an RFP before the roadmap is ready. Avoid treating all sites the same. Avoid allowing suppliers to define the architecture through their proposals. And avoid making contract decisions that force the technology team into bad migration sequence.
Because once that market process starts, it becomes much harder to fix the underlying fundamentals.
Exactly.
The key takeaway is that a global network roadmap needs more than just vision, it needs sequencing. Enterprise customers should understand the current state, define the future state access model, align stakeholders, and map contract timing, and decide how to structure the market event before suppliers start shaping the narrative. Brent, any final thoughts?
Yes, a roadmap becomes executable when it connects strategy to timing, sourcing, contracts, and migration reality. If those pieces line up, the enterprise can move with confidence. If they don't, even a good strategy can get trapped by supplier dependencies, bad timing, and operational complexity.
I think that's a great place to leave it for today. And to our listeners, if you'd like to discuss how to make your strategic sourcing roadmap executable before going to market, or if you'd like to discuss other technology strategy, sourcing, and cost reduction needs with me, Brent, or any of our TC2 and LV3 colleagues, please give us a call or shoot us an email. You can also stay current by subscribing to Staying Connected, by checking out our websites, and by following us on LinkedIn.